Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna apologize for not being here last time, but I don't know everybody.
Oh, yes, we should reintroduce names and what you do and any other thing you want to share about being here, sure.
Heather, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Heather Graves, and I'm the music teacher in Northeast Harbor.
Where are we going?
Sure.
Judith, I don't want to.
Judith Cullen, I teach second grade at Northeast Harbor.
Maggie Curtis, I teach 5th grade at Connors Emerson.
I'm sorry, can you say your name one more time?
Yeah, Maggie Curtis.
Okay.
We have like a third of our kids are out
I-
with like every disease possible.
Yes, I've heard. Thank you.
Very scary.
We have a lot of
Yeah, it's very odd, but sorry.
You're good. Eliza Hopkins, K through 4 special education teacher in Northeast Harbor.
Shannon Smikowski, first grade teacher, Penitent.
Susan Raymond, 3rd grade, Penitent. Amanda Patton, 7th grade ELA at Connors Emerson.
Michelle Lear, Title I, Tree.
And Christina Nicholson, 6th grade math at Connors Emerson.
Thank you for mentioning that. I wanted to do that and we just had in the shuffle of things. And again, Nicole Cardano, we know each other, but I've got the pleasure of meeting all of you if I hadn't before last week. And thank you all for coming back. I'll launch in since we're already kind of poking away at the clock here. The word that I have us first narrowed in on here is equilibrium. And there's a little movement exercise that we're gonna do in connection to that to get us warmed up for where we're going. The definition I have here is a moment of balance and calm mental state amidst inevitable change. So I kind of found it comical when we had to move twice today. I was like, we're right on schedule. Check. We already don't know what's happening. I got soaked in the rain. Awesome. On schedule. So yeah, something that we relate to continuously in life, but also I think it's a good check-in. And I came across this movement exercise and it just started kind of working its way in. So I'm gonna ask us just to stand on our feet, actually. You can stand in front of your chair. You're only gonna need enough space for your body to wiggle a little bit. So if you wanna spread out a little bit more, just so you don't bump your neighbor. You don't need arm width or anything. Perfect. So what will happen is you're just gonna allow gravity to pull you down while standing. So still, I think let me read through what I would tell the children. Stay in control of your body, make safe choices, and work with your balance. So you're gonna stay on your feet and bless you. You're just gonna allow your body to feel heavy. So just kind of like slump down a little bit. And then I guess you are gonna move your arms. You are gonna stretch up. So you can reach up as much as you want. You can go on your tippy toes if you like. If that feels comfortable. I like to breathe in. Good. And then you're just also gonna go back down to that gravity pull and exhale. Same thing. You're gonna go back up. Just stretch. Oh. And let it pull you back down. And we'll do that level of this exercise one more time. You're gonna stretch up. And allow gravity to pull you back down. And come back to neutral. And you're just gonna allow your body to sway side to side just a little bit. Just kind of changing your weight a little. Good. And do the same thing, but not as extreme, more of at a medium. So if we said that was a large extension, we're gonna do a medium extension. So you're gonna feel the gravity pull you down, but not as much. And again, a stretch, but a little bit more moderate of a stretch. Nice. And gravity pull, whatever your body's comfortable with. Again, at that more medium level. And a stretch. And go back down again. So just doing 3 again, and final stretch up at this level. Good, go back to neutral. And again, just do the body sway back and forth. And the last round, go back to the center. And this one can almost be at an invisible level, if you like the idea that you could do this and no one would see you doing it. So whatever level that's comfortable for you, but again, allow the gravity to pull you down. And stretch up. And the gravity pull. everything's changing around us, that we have balance and a calm mental state. We're next gonna go into one of my favorite exercises. Those that have had me in their classroom certainly have been exposed to this. It's called the machine. I'll read the instructions and then see what else I kind of may wanna fill in here. So you're gonna create, one person will go in and they're gonna create a simple sound and movement that they can sustain for 3 minutes. Which young people always want to think that they could do anything for 3 minutes and like to make really outrageous choices. So that's always when you come back again to respect for yourself, that you're not going to hurt yourself, respect for your fellow players, so you're not going to hurt them, and respect for the space that we're in. So make safe choices right there, safe choices. Stationary location, no walking around, right? So the movement and sound will have a spot. And here, I'm just gonna demonstrate because at that point I think it makes more sense. So the one person will come in, simple sound and movement that you can sustain, right? And this is an ensemble exercise. So the first person could be something as easy as boop, 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 boop. And you want the next person, then they want to complement it. They want to yes and it, right? So they want to see that and feel inspired to add to it. They are building one machine, right? So if we've got this boop, boop happening, and I always encourage them to find levels, which sometimes can take some time for sure. But so a good example would be, so we have boop, boop, boop. Next person coming could go, choo, 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 or they could sit right on the floor and do a, right? Anything that would work with what's happening, okay? Whatever they're inspired to do, that's respectful and safe. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, it's all there. And then what would happen is I would side coach it once we've built a machine or created a machine so that we can play around with the different levels and different variations of it. And I really kind of feel out how many people should be in any one machine, right? Sometimes you got some people that are really moving around or having a hard time with it, and that might be a smaller machine. Or sometimes you just have a lot of people that really need to be in there right away. So whatever it is, you just work with that group and can make more machines. Yes?
Is it like a marble run where your hands are ever like next to whoever you're following's place at the same time?
They could be.
But they don't have to?
No.
Like you don't have to time?
The idea is you're all part of the same machine,
Okay,
but you guys are organically making that machine.
gotcha.
So there, again, if you play with, there's not really a wrong choice as long as it's respectful and safe,
Okay,
and you're listening to each other.
gotcha.
So once like the 2 or 3 people have come in and established their sounds, they should continue to work together in the same way.
But the
Ideally.
rhythm could be like a, have a rest in between each of them, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's very small. Sometimes, and you'll get a wide variety of people really want to do something that's more elaborate, or some people that are very hesitant but still want to be in there. And you're very lucky if you can get like a breath sound out of them or something, or a clap, right?
Does it have to have a sound?
Ideally, yes. But again, whatever
Yeah.
comes from the students that you can work with is entirely great, right? But yeah, for the activity itself, it is fun if every person has their own sound and movement that contributes to the larger machine. Yeah. Would anyone like to start this?
Sure. Oh, go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll
And-
jump right in next,
and then-
because we did this with my.
Yes,
class,
you've done it,
so
so you're like, it's not foreign. And then what we'll and whoever wants to come in next can just look at me, or I can look at you, and if you wanna go, so I would, as the coach of it, or the teacher in the classroom, would select who comes in next. So the person in there has time to establish the sound and movement, because otherwise it can get really muddled. Any questions before we begin? And thank you, Heather.
I don't think so.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Right?
Yep, you got it. Just keep doing exactly what you're doing. Anyone have an idea of something that they could add to this machine? Yeah? It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna get out of the way. Drip, 'cause- And allow the machine to just come to a stop.
Oh, that was really.
That was wonderful. It was so sweet to see the music director. Who's keeping time with your brain.
5%, 1% faster?
I know.
I feel like everybody just hears, like, my class only heard the word faster.
Right.
Did that?
I think
They
so.
didn't hear any percent anything, they just heard faster, it was like.
I might have been right there with them.
Well, and that's so real.
Right.
1% faster.
Right. Well, and sometimes I do 5% or 10%, but 1% is usually a safe one because you're gonna get whatever speed you're gonna get.
You're just gonna get speed.
And of course, you could adapt it to more music, like, I mean, you could put it in different times or something, right? I mean, you could really break it down into something that would actually translate to what you were teaching.
No, that was fun.
Okay, do those that did do it wanna try one? Because they can certainly look very different, and we don't have to. It is fun.
It's interesting to be
Yeah.
doing something and listening to like your cue, but also listening to new instructions and like processing both at the same time.
Was that really hard?
I feel that I wouldn't, it was neat to have two new things coming in my brain at the same time. Because I feel like if you said, okay, now pause, next time we're gonna try faster and Heather started, I would have been able to like comprehend that.
Sure.
But I was like, don't mess it up, just go as the right But it's one of the, like, I was still very much listening for when it's coming again to not stop the machine.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like often when I'm in any PD, I think, wow, this must be what kids feel like. Because I can direct my whole day all of the time, and when I'm like, oh, too much going on, I can pause and I can, so being the student in it, it's fun,
Sure.
it's exciting, it's engaging, but it's also like, whoa, what's going on in my brain right now?
It's always, we've done this with first graders
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
and it is always kind of very interesting to see what they come up with
Mhm.
for a hand signal or emotion. I mean, for our experience, it's been pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
been,
I think they're so young, they haven't thought to really push that
No,
envelope yet. Like, oh, this is my
there's a lot of
opportunity.
a lot of beeping with a lot of beeping
Yeah.
of.
Right. But you can run into that, you can certainly run into,
Absolutely.
um,
Mhm.
either,
But it.
And for some of my kids, it was so interesting that even 3 minutes was just so long. Like, they
It
could
continues to
not
sustain,
keep
yes.
that same,
Ah.
even if it took no real physical or vocal
Yeah,
that's
stamina really of
interesting.
any sort, just the idea that
stick
they
with
could
that.
stick with something
right.
for
Did-
that long. They would just change it in other things and change it and walk around and do something else because they just,
Mhm.
just so, you know.
That felt like a really long time to me, but that wasn't probably 3 minutes.
I wasn't
I don't
actually
think
timing it, but I
Yeah,
think
it
was
didn't,
long.
I mean, it probably wasn't, but it felt like a
Oh,
good
much
stretch
longer.
of time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Does it always happen where like that sound kind of like went through? Or are there more like where the sounds kind of on top of each other?
I think generally there are kind of scattered sounds working together, but it's always a different arrangement of that. Sometimes, again, more boisterous and sometimes much more on the shy side of things. Yeah.
I think when we're done with those little kids, I think that's that next step. They're just concerned about themselves, wanting, be, so they have really, they're just keeping their pattern going, where I felt like I was listening for you, then
Right,
you to go,
right,
like, it was
right,
almost
right,
like the next step.
Right.
We were
It
sent,
was
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
Right.
2, instead of like, I was definitely waiting
True.
for you to cue.
Correct, yes.
Whereas when you'd have little kids, and
Right, they're
that
just-
was part of the
just
listening
doing
for when to
everything.
go, they don't care if they're keeping the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think as long as whatever they're doing is staying at the same that they started it as, with ideally a little bit of an awareness of what's happening, because they are in one machine together. The idea is that they are working together, that it's an ensemble group exercise of listening and being attentive also to the movements around you, and working together and complementing each other. But that's happening kind of just in a playful way, right? So that it's really just the movement and the sound that's been added to something that's already there.
Would this be something that you could do like, just like once a week or
something like that, or in just like one time, like you wouldn't have to like keep changing it or adding people or like.
It will probably always change, ideally, just by the way that it works.
It doesn't have to be like you do a few at a time.
No.
You could just do one machine and then move on.
Right.
Or-
Totally. Sometimes I think in teaching it, kids usually really like it. They wanna do more of it, and they all wanna have a turn at it, and sometimes other kids wanna have second turn, so it always depends on the time that you're willing to give it. But then, it could be, once it's learned by the group, or at least a portion of the group, it could be something that is visited as a smaller exercise. Maybe you have a couple minutes at the end of class, right? Maybe you're waiting for people to show up.
Yeah.
Could be kind of a transitional time.
Would you say that it kind of stimulates people, calms them down, or is it kind of neutral? Or it just depends on the kids?
It depends on the kids, but I usually find, kind of like in the mirroring exercise, there's kind of this moment that can happen, where everyone's just working together. There's like an energy shift that usually comes out of it. And one of the things I didn't add into this one, because it just didn't feel right at the time, is taking away the sound. So keep the movement, take away the sound, and then add the sound back in. That can be a really fun one too, because it can be really pretty, really, actually, because you've got all these kids working together with their movements. And they're like so engaged if it's going right, which it usually is. It usually is. I mean, every now and then it's just not a match for whatever reason. But usually it's something that they really want. Yeah, that's been my overall experience. And this exercise and that word pattern one are actually, I think, were probably the top two things that got me doing this work, because I just kept wanting I was like, nope, it's a machine and word pattern. Nope, it's a machine and word pattern. Like, I just kept seeing them in places of how we can work together. And that yes, there's challenges for sure, but also that I feel like they're pretty inviting.
I like how you explained some of the outcomes or the purposes of doing things, and I'm completely exhausted and it's dark for me. So like, my brain is like, I know this is important. Maybe I can't like tap into all the reasons why, so I appreciate
I feel you
stating
100%.
those things out loud.
Totally. Well, and it's helpful to me, like even in going over for the handout, coming across things that I was like, oh, right, that exercise actually ties in blah, 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 like all these things that we're really trying to highlight. And you don't realize it, how much that those things can actually work. So again, if you're thinking about like, we want the face-to-face nonverbal, we want to be able to see each other, we want to be able to recognize emotions, those things are all happening anytime we're just watching people, which would be happening in that environment. And again, we're just saying, go up there, make good choices, and work together. And make that other person's choice look great.
I did like how it was an option to do it or not though. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was sitting here pretty like uncomfortable with
Totally.
not wanting to do that right now, but could see it maybe sometime wanting to.
And something that I usually don't get to this point because I don't usually have as much consistency with my students on working with these games. But one thing that you could eventually get to, if it was the right age group, is training them to be side coaches. If they, of course, did it respectfully, so that they could be given the
Modification.
yeah.
Would you have more than one group going on at the same time, or is that too like
I wouldn't
kind of
mind that.
confusing?
I would if the time and the focus asked of it, but I think as far as the enjoyment and focus, it's distracting.
Yeah.
It'd be like two radios playing at the same time, different stations, right? You wouldn't have the focus for it. Yeah.
Something I really like about it is, because I'm in 6th grade,
Yeah.
there's kids that see themselves as always having like the great idea in the group, and then the kids that really rely on other kids having, everybody has to have their own idea, and it gives them a like non-risk way to have their own idea, but see how they all do work together.
Right.
And I think sometimes the kids are focused more on what like the standard's asking them for, or like being pretty or being this, and so there's like an idea they feel like they all have to compromise on, and there's no compromise, you're just bringing your idea into it, and then you work off of that from the next person instead of adjusting them.
Yeah.
So I really like that, to be able to talk about that, like I'd like to see more open ideas and instead of adjusting other people's ideas. that was a neat way to
Cool.
have them go through it. I also wonder
Yeah.
about, could you ever change, like swap two people in the machine's locations, or would that get hairy?
I think you could.
Depending on how big the,
Yeah, and especially too, if you have consistency of working with them, which most of you would have that in the groups that you'd be working with. That, yeah, I mean, as the side coach, you really could do whatever you think that the activity asked of you. But yeah, what I'm hearing in you too is that yes and, like, oh, something's been put out there, I'm gonna agree and add more.
and I wonder if you like, let's say there were 6 people and you switched to, are you supposed to stick with what yours was, whatever your noise and where your movement, or to, like, in your mind, if somebody switched near me, could I like modify a little bit so my machine looks like
Yeah.
I'm embracing?
I mean, ideally, you come in and you find something that works and you keep it. But oftentimes, movements or something's chosen that can't sustain. Like, they thought they should spin in circles for 3 minutes, right? And you know that's not gonna work, but they really think, got it. So of course, then it needs to change, and whatever needs to modify in order to yes and complement the machine and the pieces would work. And this is actually, this is an extension of another game, which is part of a whole, which is, so really you could build anything. Like I've done, it was actually PD with teachers, we built like a dragon, right? So everyone's a part of the dragon, and, you know, I side coach them to take a breath together, right? So it really could be anything. I originally learned this game as a machine, and I really like it that way, because, and then your creative choices are wide open as long as you're working together. Yeah, but you could also go like, well, we're gonna make this machine or whatever, and you could narrow in on something. Whatever you think that is. Yeah. I'll move forward. Yeah? Okay. So we approached last time empathy through one aspect of it, right? So when we looked at the definition of empathy as the ability to imagine what would feel like to live the experience of another, and narrowed in on the importance of face-to-face nonverbal exercises, right? That we're really just seeing each other, which works well for the development of our brain, which is something that the kids really need more time with. And something that I came across again, and just putting all this, is that how much emotions are contagious, right? We know that. Someone comes in the room with a bad mood, pretty easy to end up in a bad mood. And just even saying emotions are contagious, I feel like has its own entity, because even as adults, right? Someone comes home, they've had a bad day, traffic was awful, something happened at the store, whatever it is, whoop, it's there. Which is where kind of being able to see emotions, right? Recognizing how people may or may not be feeling, recognizing a little bit more of how you might be presenting, and just a little more awareness around that is definitely connected in the bigger picture. So in diving into empathy and connection to theater, which is just a parallel straight through, because in theater, you're stepping into the shoes of another person, which is empathy. So I thought it would be at least nice to glimpse it through that lens, and so I've added the second piece here, stepping into the world of another person and through character work. So my thought here is actually doing just a little movement exercise, and then actually a little writing exercise. The movement exercise, I'll just kind of guide you, and again, whatever you're comfortable with, you're welcome to walk around this space as much as the space wants you to walk around it. Normally, like in a stage area, you want, in a theater training, you want people to use the whole space. So again, that idea of just exploring space, which can be really interesting in itself, because we tend to gravitate just to little spots. And then I'm just gonna have you focus in on different parts of your body as you're moving, and or each other, whatever you're comfortable with.
What do you mean, and each other?
As far as recognizing the other people in the room, like whether you're making eye contact or not eye contact, just awareness of the others in the space.
Is that something you're gonna say?
Yes, yeah, I'm just gonna side coach the whole thing. You don't really have to digest. What I'm saying right now, you can just go whoop, And it should be nothing major, just a movement. To again, kind of feel how we carry ourselves and how others can be carrying themselves, that's all. Okay, so that being said, I invite you to put down your piece of paper. Yay, my daughter found me. Hi, love. You're welcome to sit or just come back at 5 or whatever you wanna do. It's
I'm gonna come
Evangeline.
back. I still have to do my paper, so I'll be
Okay,
back.
perfect. Thanks, love. We'll be here.
Great job, and Oliver.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
She was a little girl still.
I know.
She's all grown up.
I know.
I thought she was like 8.
Oh, I was
Yeah, plus 7. Crazy. Okay, so, we're just gonna stand, take a breath, walk to somewhere in this room you haven't been today. We'll just start with that. Just as you are, yourself right now, right, just exploring the space here.
Keep moving.
Yeah, and you can just move at whatever pace you're comfortable with, especially where we've got so many obstacles in here. Right? Now, as you're walking, allow to let your heart lead you. Imagine your heart, that part of your body, or that emotion that you would connect with your heart, is what's guiding you to walk right now. You're leading with your heart. See that your heart feels really big. Right? Yeah. You can change your pace. You can change how you interact with anyone you might be passing. Good. Now change the body part that's leading you. Allow it to be your knees. Your knees are leading you. Whatever that means to you. Yeah, it can be something that doesn't quite feel like your human self. Exactly, yeah. Imagine a character that's leading with their knees. Right? Maybe their knees have been hurt. Maybe they're very proud of their knees. And it's the first thing that anyone should see on them. Good. After you feel like you've shown off your knees really well, lead with your left ear. Your left ear is what must first be seen about you. If anyone's going to notice anything, it is your left ear. It's stunning. It's so beautiful. Good. Now we're going to shift it a little bit and imagine instead of being really proud of this, right? You're insecure about your hands. The last thing you want anyone to see are your hands. Great. Shift that to being insecure about your chest, the chest of your torso. Let that go, and allow yourself just to walk in, feeling like a healthy person, right? Healthy, neutral. Shake off the insecurity of any body parts. Take a nice breath in. And out. Now as you pass people, enjoy making eye contact. Just a little below your eyes. You're seeing them and you want to be seen. that to not wanting to be seen and not avoiding eye contact.
Okay, sorry.
Still take care of you. Still take care of you. Good. Go back to neutral. Right, you're okay? Good. Take a nice breath in. Breathe out. And allow yourself to come back to your chair. You know, that's a little more theater exploration, but I think it really connects to that idea of how we carry ourselves and how we see others. And there's a lot of ways that you can explore that a little bit further. Any takeaways from just experiencing that? Whether it was super uncomfortable, whether you actually had something that you related to or observed out of the exercise?
Yeah, eye contact's not my thing. So that was,
That was a challenge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it better when you said no eye contact.
Mhm.
Cool, I could do that.
Got the no eye contact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I never would have known that about you.
Really?
And I've worked with you for how long?
15 years.
Yeah.
And you're giving
That's
great
so
eye
funny.
contact
I
right
know
now.
we're gonna
Well, once I'm comfortable with people, and I already knew you.
Yeah.
That
Yep, I
helps.
didn't know that. So
Yeah.
now I'm gonna have to
No.
observe you in new situations.
That sounds comfortable.
I mean, some people make a lot of eye contact, some people really avoid
Yeah.
eye contact. Maybe for some it's a comfort on,
Right.
on how well you
Yeah.
know someone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I like that it was purposeful movement.
Mhm.
You know, I think with little kids now that, and it, you had to be aware
Yeah.
of your
Mhm.
surroundings
Right.
in here.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
And one thing that comes up in character or even in how confident someone might be in the space or how removed they might be, really does come down to a posture and a certain part of their
Right.
body that they are kind of leading with, right? Whether they're
Right.
leading with their head or their chest, or they have a really, big walk, or that they don't want to be seen. And it's definitely something that I think helps us to see each other more clearly and perhaps see that in ourselves, but also as our students could empathize with the characters they might, or the stories and figures that they're studying, right? That they could make a connection with how that happened. Who is this person? What would it be like to walk as that person?
I'd be kind of tempted to take it like further, but it might be a bad idea.
Yeah, like
So
what?
I'll just put that out there.
Sure.
But I've been thinking about my students lately and just like a sort of some way to get deeper into the empathy thing. And I was just kind of curious whether you could say, like almost like say statements, like act like somebody just told you,
Sure.
or like walk around as if you,
Yeah.
whatever, kind of like, you just drop something and people laugh.
Right.
Right, and then walk around.
Yeah.
Or you just listen to that kid yell at the other kid. Keep walking. You know, I don't know, like I just don't know, because I have people who do things and I think, have they no idea how it feels to the person they just did that to? And so I just don't know, like whether you could go a little deeper or not.
I think in a way, so the next little piece I have, and again, this little segment is a little bit more theater, not theater games, but in a way that I feel like really connects with the core of a lot of what we're working on. And so, so I've created the opportunity for us to do just some short journaling. I thought we were gonna be in the other room with all the tables, but luckily we have all these lovely music stands. And the idea is, because I agree, and I feel like one of the ways that you could take that next step is if you took that understanding but put it through a character. So it's not you and your classmate.
Right.
It's all of a sudden someone that they're reading or that you've been discussing as a class. And so what I've done is I have pulled together, so my thought is you could either pull from anything that any one of you has been reading or that your students have been or that you would have taught them. But I've also put together a list of some stuff that I feel like are good, easy go-tos. And so what I'm gonna hand out, and I have pencils, and again, whatever you feel like doing, just as an exercise, right? So this is literally a character study. It's something that you would do if you were taking on a role in a show, to step into that character, right? These are very basic, everyday questions. And so the idea is I'm gonna have you write down whatever character name is you choose to narrow in on. If you don't know them that well, that's okay. Your version of them, doesn't matter, right? And then just respond, and I'll help guide us through that. Well, you'll only have to do a little bit, nothing crazy. So I invite you to think of if there's anything that you work on in class, or that you've read personally, or your student or your child has read, and or, I wrote down Hansel and Gretel. It could be Hansel, it could be Gretel, it could be the father, it could be the stepmother, it could be the witch. Stepmother would be a really fun one to go into, by the way. Because really it's all about her and her brain, so like, she would be fun. Harry Potter, right? Any of the characters from Harry Potter. I think like Dobby, the house elf, would be a fun one to dive into. Again, these people that are like interesting, but what is their story, right? And I have more lists there. BFG, or Sophie, or any of the giants, right? What is it to be a giant that lives off of humans, right? Snow White, Magic Mirror, the Queen. Huntsman, Doc, Bashful, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Dopey, any of them. Charlotte's Web, Fern, Charlotte, Templeton. Sometimes the sneaky or in another realm, villainous character is by far. Put some humanity behind them. That is so fun, is to connect to a character that is the one that sticks out as the one that you're really technically in our culture not connecting to. So I'll hand these out. We can just sit down where we want. I've got, again, pencils somewhere. And was that enough of a little brainstorm on a character to pull from? And again, it can be anything.
Is this something, it's like all written, or are we going to be acting this out, or?
So I've got the questions written.
Yeah.
And I'll say them out loud as well. And then, here, I'll pass these down. Everybody just grab a pencil. And then the idea is just to answer as a character. So again, in empathy, right? So if empathy, in the definition that we're working with, is the ability to imagine what it would feel like to live the experience of another. I'm gonna step into the shoes of whatever character it is that you're choosing. I was very happy to find my sparkly pencils today. I was like, oh my gosh.
Did these come these sharpened already, or did you?
I did, and I checked the erasers, they're all soft. I was like, why do erasers normally get stale?
I don't get the hard erasers.
Right? Blows my mind.
Well, when you lick them, you know that.
Oh.
I remember that from
Okay.
So everyone,
No, you're good.
I haven't licked one for a while, but I do know that.
Anybody want to?
Oh, yeah.
Dries though, like some erasers over time are all like harder to rub, but definitely like stuck on. Sorry. That word, but I don't know what else.
Yeah, so select your character. Oh, thank you. And do you want me to read the questions out loud, or do you just want to read them yourself? Okay. Go for it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything fun about it you wanna share? And like maybe who you chose or anything you learned about that character but from writing from that perspective?
It's fun that there were few wrong answers.
Right.
And you got to just be creative based on what you know about the character.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like telling a story, but without all the work of telling an original story.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a starting point, right? Stepping in as this person, what would it be like to be this person? Yeah. Like even just that practice of going, what would it be like to wake up as this person and go through whatever day that they have and whatever's important to them, right?
Seemed like their personality helped steer a lot of the choices they would make.
Did anyone find that they were making kind of a little more extreme choices in a direction that we wouldn't have thought of?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was afraid I'd have to share it at one point because it was like, should I edit this to make it like, you know, more appropriate, or is this like really what that character would
Yeah.
have said? So,
To me, that's part of the freedom of being able to take on a character, right? Is that it's not you. So you have freedom beyond what our normal world asks of us, which is why it can be so great to play a villain, or step into any role that seems very outside of the person that we walk around as on a daily basis. So I feel like this is a safe, I haven't discovered it not to be, but overall, a safe way to explore what it's like to be in another person's shoes.
Some of the answers I knew from the character I chose, it was factual,
Sure,
and then some I had to speculate.
Right, and I think that's great. In my opinion, that's perfect. That it shouldn't be, just like any of the word pattern or machine, we're not asking for an exact answer, we're just asking you to work with this practice. And so I feel like there's so much opportunity to do this with anything that's being studied in the classroom. Because it's a safe way to explore empathy, which then allows the space to go, oh, what would it feel like if you forgot your lunch at home? Or what would it feel like if this happened out at the playground? Or what, right? So now we have a way in without it actually having to be myself and Judith and whatever happened, right? Snack.
The character that I chose,
Yeah.
so I teach the Nutcracker, and I chose Fritz, and I always introduce the kids as the spoiled brat. He is a spoiled brat, and he is so jealous of his sister that he
Yeah.
but I was Fritz, and then it was like, you know, what do you wish for? To be an only child.
Aww.
Describe a perfect moment or day when I get all the attention. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've always painted this kid as such a shit.
Right.
But maybe I need to be a little more empathetic for him. And his sister gets all the attention because she's perfect. So it was kind of interesting. And I thought, oh, what a good connection with all the characters from the
I love that.
Yeah.
And you would get, just like you found discoveries, all of your students
Right,
are going to find
exactly.
discoveries. And then all of a sudden you can empathize with
Right,
these characters that
exactly.
were removed
Yeah, right.
holiday characters.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It's really fun to go like, what would that, I mean, I found myself today, I was thinking of examples, I'm like, should we do like Elf on the Shelf? Like, what would it be like to be Elf on the Shelf? And I was like, no, I don't really want to go there. But again, like, it could be anything, right? Like, what would it be like to be whatever?
Another cool
Yeah.
extension would be, what would it be like to be Miss Cullen?
Right.
You know, when your class is having a
Yep.
struggle, or they've had a substitute, or you're prepping them to have a substitute, what would it be like to be a substitute?
Or teacher appreciation?
What would it be like to be
Yeah.
the bus driver,
Yeah.
the custodian?
Right.
You know, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And to write about it, and to not just talk about it, but really form your own thoughts, and then talk about it.
Right, that practice of, I'm gonna stand in this person's shoes.
Yeah.
And I think that idea of like prepping them before a sub, question number 7 would be huge, because I don't think they think of what the guest in the room really hopes, like, really, I think sometimes subs are like, oh, I hope I don't mess it up, or I
Sure.
don't,
Yeah.
but I think the kids don't think that there even is a wish of the subs, so they do what they're gonna do with
Right.
new flexibility or somebody, you know.
Well, they have,
And they follow, it's a group mentality, so if somebody opens the door, and it's harder to rein themselves back in, but I think if they were thinking, oh wow, what, that perspective would be huge.
Yeah.
Very humane.
it is, because it's the whole idea of we all have a story. We'll never know all of anyone's story, or even be able to reflect on our own in entirety. And yeah, that idea of, I was talking with my daughter, I think yesterday, about a student that I've worked with before, and I was asking how they're doing in high school. And we were talking about how nice of a person that they are, but they, due to their personality, they don't really have that connection. And I was like, yeah, and she said, she's like, if you don't really know something about somebody, you don't connect with them. And and if you do something like this, then you are imagining what it would be like to be that person. So even if it's just, oh, they didn't have breakfast this morning, or oh, you know, their costume didn't fit, or oh, they're sad that their grandmother couldn't make it, or whatever it is, as opposed to being like, well, their grandmother never comes, and my grandmother always comes, right? Whatever it is that keeps you from looking at them as a human, oh, now I'm that person.
I thought it was interesting too, I did Bashful from Snow White,
Yeah.
and I always felt bad for Bashful.
Aww.
And sort of like, kind of like, just the underdog, or, you know, and then after doing this, I was like, I think Bashful's actually content. And then, he is.
Rachel doesn't want the spotlight.
Yeah, he's fine.
Like eye contact.
Right.
I love the epiphanies.
I'm not gonna worry about that one more time.
Right, now I'm Bashful's okay.
Put your energy into Dopey now.
Right. Or maybe Doc has to prove themselves and like, yeah, who knows?
But just that each, you know, that you might look at something or somebody and feel like perhaps I feel bad for them because how they experience life is different and I wouldn't want to experience life like that.
Yeah.
But in all reality, they might be enjoying the way they are.
Right. Be their comfort.
Yeah.
I love what you all got out of this. And any other shares before we move on?
I'm just trying to think of like, I wish my third graders could write, like well enough to access this in a way, like I was just thinking like, oh, they all have little dictaphones, that's
Sure.
not a world anymore, really.
Right.
But, I mean, could they all like
Yeah.
audio record their ideas, or, you know what I mean? Because for some of them, they could probably have a lot of fun with this, but they just don't have the pencil stamina.
But you could do, before break, you could do a big brother, big sister, like have the big kids come do a thing where they could write for them, scribe for them. Yeah.
They could make a little movie.
Right, if they'd be willing to open up, it depends if they knew those things.
I wrote in here too, just the idea of looking at multisensory options, right? Again, and I wasn't even thinking of so much of the ages, but that certainly plays in of that they could draw a picture from the standpoint of that person. And you could even add more, like draw a picture for that character's mother, draw a picture for that character's brother, draw a picture from that character's perspective at this point in the story.
Yeah.
I wonder, even with the younger kids, I chose the Grinch. And,
Yes, ooh.
And even for younger kids, just taking one piece of this, like, what did you eat for breakfast?
Right.
So, and, I mean, I wrote oatmeal, I have no idea why I wrote oatmeal.
Sure.
I just felt like you would have to start out with some oatmeal.
Yeah.
As bland oatmeal.
I can see it.
But just one piece of
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Just to get
That's
some
true.
different feedback.
Right.
Would they choose something cold, hot, like, you know, and maybe talking with the younger, I mean, I chose it because oatmeal seems great. Somebody
Right.
else might choose.
And it's a more traditional food, and it's, I could see the time period wise, I could see that,
Right.
you know, the Grinch doesn't have a fridge, I get it.
Correct.
Yeah. You can eat the oatmeal all day
Right,
long.
but you know, breaking it down into some smaller chunks.
Right.
Yeah.
Or having them all be a part of it, right? So kind of that same idea, but like, as like let's, as a class, let's narrow in on the Grinch, or let's narrow in on the Fitch. Fits, right? Or Bashful, whoever it is we're selecting, and come up with some answers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you could, if you wanted, I know the movement exercise is a little bit out of like a norm, but like, okay, now go sit over there as that character. Walk into the classroom as that character. very simple things. You're like, oh, mom.
Fritz, I said Fritz, yeah.
Fritz,
Fritz,
yeah.
Yeah, that's,
And very approachable, right? There was one other thing I was hopeful we could get to today, if it's okay to step out of that. Bless you. This one is more of a movement exercise, so you can tuck that away in whatever way you want to. You're welcome to keep your pencil if you like, or I can collect them, whatever you like. Sure, yeah, you're welcome to have it. Whatever you like there.
I will keep it.
Yeah, keep it. I like this. If you want it, keep it.
I don't erase that.
Maybe it's your character pencil. Maybe you sit down and you're like, who am I today?
It's not to erase because their mistakes are part of it. And so, otherwise you get kids that spend an hour erasing and like 2 seconds writing, so.
Sure, and use the whole eraser in the process. So I will just at least see if we can glimpse the game. This one tends to be quite popular with any age I've played it with. It is more of a movement game, so we can do whatever level that we're comfortable with. And I think I've played it at least in your class. It's Kitty Wants a Corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's very fun. I do it in Spanish with my other kids and my other students, and anyways. So it's basically the idea. I'll go over, make sure I'm kind of covering my bases here. So you can define corners in a space. They don't have to be actual corners in a room. This can play outside. It can be indoor or outdoor. A corner can literally be the front of this chair, right, or the edge of something, right? But once we've defined these corners, we're going to keep them for the duration of the game. And again, this is an eye contact game. So what will happen is everyone will find a corner, whatever that is. We'll keep it kind of in this vicinity so that we're not tripping up and down the music room here, because I value all of you and your health. One person is going to be the cat, okay? And there's only 2 lines to the whole game. Okay, so the cat is going to walk up to people, and you can establish if you want to keep a certain amount of space for germs and all the things that we're all balancing. And the cat is going to say, "Kitty wants a corner." Okay. The only thing the other person's going to say is, "Go see my neighbor." Those are the 2 lines. Kitty wants a corner. Go see my neighbor. Kitty wants a corner. Go see my neighbor. That's it. And so what's happening is the cat's going up and saying this, right? And everyone is making eye contact with each other. Okay. Because they want to switch places. They want to switch corners. And the cat wants to grab an open corner. Okay?
Musical chairs.
Basically. But what we're practicing is eye contact, paying attention, body language, right? Is anyone ready to move? And I always invite people to try to make eye contact with people that they might not have already switched places with yet, right? Is there a spot you haven't gone to? Is there a spot you haven't changed places with yet? And there's basically a nonverbal exercise outside of Kitty wants a corner, go see my neighbor. That's it. It gets them up moving. It's a good just move around. Like again, if you've got a little section of time that just needs an activity, but it gets them working together as a whole group. Try it? Okay. So
Wherever we stand is a corner, it's not like a 4-corner.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say actually we could just maybe even make this circle just a smidge bit larger, and then wherever we define a spot,
It's kind of like Kitty wants a space.
Yeah.
Kitty wants a spot. Maybe Kitty wants a
I don't know,
spot.
one corner, I was so rigid and thinking.
Right, but that happened in my class too. They really didn't go to the corner initially.
Right,
And it's like, Kitty wants a spot.
wants a
No, but Kitty wants a corner sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and that's just how the game was written. It's an old game, but it plays really well. So I'll start as the cat, just for the sake of it, unless someone else wants to be the cat. I know. You're good. That's okay. So the only tricky thing is we do have this kind of like very circle-y thing. So if there's something near you that you could make it even, like you could be in front of that stand. You have, sure, yeah, you're in front of that chair. Okay. Perfect. Just because it'll be helpful for all of us. I mean, I know we're gonna play pretty politely, but I am mad.
I don't know.
All right. So again, as I'm going around, you want to make eye contact and see if you can switch places. That's it. Okay. All right. Kitty wants a corner. Go see my neighbor. Kitty wants a corner. Go see my neighbor. Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now do I start with you?
Yeah.
Or any.
Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, right? Kitty. Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner. Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty's frustrated.
My neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner. Wants my corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Thank you. Thank
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Good one.
you. Sorry.
Keep going. Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner.
Go see my neighbor.
Kitty wants a corner.
Dude.
I could see that.
Everyone okay?
You okay?
Oh, I'm very okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I realized I really wanted to get enough. Tunnel vision. I was like, it's the duct tape. It's the duct tape.
Is everybody good? Did we lose
We didn't sign a liability.
Yeah.
I know, that's a good one. Oh,
We can stop it there. We can stop it there.
Great job.
Like,
wait,
the first graders is, do they really not say anything except Kitty wants a corner?
Oh, no,
and
they
go to see
changed
my
it.
neighbor?
That's it.
Because
Yeah.
Oh,
My
yeah.
kids constantly
my
need to
kids
change it.
cannot not talk. That's the class I have right now.
Yeah.
And they weren't that class last year, but they
Something
got
happened.
bigger
Yeah.
and 3 new
Right.
kids came in and they are constantly talking to each other, and so I cannot imagine them only saying those things and not saying anything
But they're
else.
busy looking around.
So this would
Right.
be a
Yeah.
cool thing for us to
Yeah. You
play,
could keep
to
tightening it.
practice that.
Yeah.
Right, and I think they're so concentrating on somebody
Yeah.
moving, they're not talking.
And they can only play the game if they did it appropriately.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So make it a real
Yeah,
honor.
no, I think that'd be awesome,
Yeah.
I really like the possibilities of this.
And they can get so
Yeah.
focused on each other. Like I had done it with a kindergarten class in Tremont, and I just remember like the eye contact was like, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never had so much eye contact from a 5 or 6 year old. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like we're gonna move. So again, that body awareness, right? Communication. Again, we're looking at each other's faces. We're watching for any form of non-spoken language that we're about to shift here. You know, and you could always make sure that again, I know right and left can be really hard, but if it starts to be something you want to be more mindful of, make sure everyone's always stepping to the right so we don't have little I should have said that, and you know, we had obstacles, we had obstacles. And we were working with a smaller space than you would normally want to do this in.
And that's gonna be on video, I just realized.
But only if you have the link is this going to be. So I think our audience is pretty small. Yeah.
You were looking right at me when you ran into me.
Again, we can get so intent, right?
We'll do slow motion, we'll see.
But it can be a really good outdoor game, of course, but it also
Yeah.
can really work in the classroom, especially with a smaller group. You could do that in your classroom, no problem.
And I remember we had to time out a couple times for
Yeah.
just processing, you know? So like, I think I would do that at the beginning and just be like, develop some symbol that, or some word that was like, wherever you are, it's all good, we're just gonna stop and chat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just some sort of, whether it's just time out or just pause or something.
Sure.
Cause I know they got like, you know, angsty with each other because they're kids, but also
Yeah.
because it's almost like monkey in the middle when you're like the kid who just
Yeah.
never touches, you know, and so you just start getting.
You mean like me stamping my foot and
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not being able to find a spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You're like that kid who just moves slower than everybody
Right.
else.
Right,
That's
right, right.
That just
always
reminds
just
me that-
left behind.
My son who goes to school here said the other day they had in the auditorium musical chairs going on,
Yeah.
and there ended up being a fist fight because people were so upset. that
My
they-
daughter got some of it on video.
So
Yeah.
just be aware, like,
Gosh.
know your population before you play this
Yeah.
type of games.
Was it
Right.
like student led? It was gonna be the whole school. Did it happen? Was it all school?
I think it was up on the stage.
It was in the gym from what I saw on video.
Okay.
And it was selections
Yeah, it
from
was
each
fun.
class. and you were supposed to be rooting for your grade in theory, you know, and, but honestly, when Evangeline was telling me, I was like, okay, I would have addressed that in the rules. I would have had these, like, again,
Yeah.
let's go over respect of yourself, respect of the other people, and respect of the things in the space. Because one part of it, they had like, they were wrestling like a chair off to a corner. I was like, no, that's not respect of the chair in the space.
Way too many people and too much adrenaline with that many people.
Without all
teenagers
kids.
for us.
Yeah.
I feel like
I've never even seen that game go well anywhere, so.
I was
Somebody's
surprised too. I mean, I'm happy that they had a group thing, but I was like, I could have.
more
It's the whole
processing.
school.
Like a pep
Right.
rally.
I know, my
Wow.
dad was like,
I
I wish I'm gonna
On
have to go
Tuesdays and
back to
Thursdays, they
for
have
half
this
an hour.
free chunk of time where they do extra things.
So I guess it was.
They should learn Kitty One's corner.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to be
Oh,
like.
that's so cool.
So I think.
Yeah, like, let's say
Yeah,
he's had a
totally.
really bad year.
So I got an email that my son gave up his chair that he got to for a student with special needs, and then shook his hand. So I got a bunch of emails yesterday. So there was good.
Oh,
Yeah, there was good that came out.
Totally.
Just
Yeah.
gotta know
Yeah.
if there's
Yeah.
some kid in your
Yeah.
group that is
It's gonna not be able to
quite
handle it.
heated,
Yeah.
And again, right, we all learn in these games, so like, I'm happy that they were playing games.
Right.
Yeah, but, and then also these are the pieces that came home.
And maybe
So-
not cheering your friends on too, like that
Sure.
element maybe.
Right, less
Like this,
competitive.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this doesn't get taken away necessarily.
Yeah, yeah.
Smaller age, and you don't have to sit out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could have a certain amount of time and when somebody's been in as a coach. Like
Sure.
if somebody's been in that
Yeah.
many, that long, you'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna randomly pick another
We
person,
need a new
close your
kitty.
eyes and let,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
just 'cause
What's for Kitty?
Right,
let
exactly.
that kid off the hook, you know?
Well, and some
Right.
people will
Want to
wanna,
be the kitty.
Right.
or stay in one corner for as long as they can possibly stay in that one
Right.
corner,
Right,
right? I
eye
mean,
contact and just hang out.
yeah, or they just don't wanna move or whatever, they're tired.
Does the cat always have to go
Nope.
in order?
They can change that.
So, cause I wondered about that,
Mhm.
that there might be somebody who's always monkey in the middle or was the cat.
Yeah.
That like they could even count how many times and when they get to 10, whoever they ask, they just switch spots.
Sure.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah, you
idea.
And then that way they
That's a really
know,
good
I mean,
idea.
hopefully they don't
Yeah.
always target the same person
Yeah.
when they get to 10, but that
Right.
way,
Yeah.
cause I could see that being
That would be good.
really getting people upset.
I find more often than not though, the people wanna be the cat,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
enough so that there's, usually if one person's tired of it, you'd be like, oh, who wants to be the cat, who hasn't been the cat?
Right,
Right.
right.
But yeah, I think you could come up with
Having
timeframes.
Sometimes when you just know when it's gonna switch.
Yeah. Right.
Did you teach Ashley the, like, where is Kitty game? She plays that.
Oh, I remember,
It's
no,
so
she
stinking cute.
was
It's
doing
like hide
that.
and seek, so
Yeah.
like she'll pick like 3 kitties to go hide,
yeah,
and then somebody has to go in the hallway while they hide, and then they'll come in and be like, where are the kitties? And then the kitties meow,
Oh.
and then you just like go find them, and then it's like,
Kitty.
yay! Super simple, and they're, but
But they're all working
it's-
together.
Yeah, they're all working together,
Yeah.
they're listening, it's super cute.
I like that. Yeah, and I remember that, but no, that was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We're basically at time, unless there's anything else anyone wants to ask or talk about before we.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent.
Holidays.
Great evening.
Yeah, thanks for coming in the weather.
Yeah, what's going on up there? There's a lot of noise.
Yes, everyone remembers your mom.
Yeah. What's that?
Was he back today?
He was back today.